Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Bolama in Guinea-Bissau, which I actually mentioned Bulama in my last Guinea-Bissau video. I'll link my Guinea-Bissau playlist up there. So we talked about Bissau and how the capital city before Bissau was Bolama, which Bolama is located here on Bulama Island. I know it's very hard to see on this map, but it's on a little island here. And the Bolama region actually consists of all these other islands here. This is the Bijagos archipelago. And again, they speak Portuguese here in Guinea-Bissau, and my Portuguese is not the best. Thank you to the person who commented on my last video in Cape Verde that said my Portuguese was excellent. I'm like, no way it was. Yes, little victories. So I'm always trying my best with Portuguese. So if I mispronounce anything gravely, just kindly let me know in the comments down below. I'd appreciate it. I'm always trying to improve my Portuguese. The Bijagos archipelago, which you can see the João Vieira and Poilau Marine National Park is like right here-ish from what I can remember. And then we have the Oranjo National Park on the island of Oranjo over here. Archipelago do Bijagos. They're really beautiful islands. Where there aren't beautiful beaches, there are big mangrove forests, and the interior of most of these islands are pretty forested as well. And of course we're going to look at them on Google Earth after we talk about the history here, which is quite interesting. Ulysses Grant is involved, one of the former United States presidents. So if you want to know why, let's find out. So very famously, the Portuguese sailed down the coast of Africa here, trying to see if they could sail around the entire continent to reach India, which they eventually did. And as they were exploring the coast, they claimed these islands. They did so officially in 1532. A few years later, in 1535, they sent an expedition down to these islands just to see what was going on. And the Bijagos people here evidently had an incredibly strong navy, which obviously the Portuguese were not anticipating because they were booted out. They actually fought off the Portuguese and won. So the Portuguese did not settle down here, although they kept that claim. Bolama Island, however, was uninhabited. So in the late 1700s, the British had this idea to take formerly enslaved people who needed to be rehomed, and they're like, let's send them back to Africa. And this was the first place that they tried out here on Bolama Island. It turns out it was a disaster. The ship coming over from the Americas was wrought with misadventure and death. They landed here. This expedition, I suppose, this attempt at settlement was wrought with misadventure and death. The survivors eventually fled to what's now Sierra Leone. Can you see down here, Sierra Leone? Which is where the British got the idea to resettle all of the former slaves or people who were captured after the slave trade was made illegal. People were being illegally captured and sold resettle them to Sierra Leone, which is how that country was founded. They tried it here and horrifically failed. That was in the 1790s. They tried to settle this island. However, Portugal still claimed this island even though no one was living there, right? And it really reached ahead by the 1860s. Britain had tried, I think, a second time to settle this island and failed. But by then, Portugal was like, listen, this is our island. You can't have it. So they went to find someone to negotiate and look at both sides and determine who would be the one to control the island. And the person who did that was President Ulysses S. Grant. He looked at both sides and determined that the island belonged to Portugal. Eventually, in the town of Bulama, they would erect a statue of Ulysses Grant, which sadly is no longer erected. It got scrapped. But it was one of those random places in the world that had statues of Americans in places you wouldn't expect. Sadly, it's gone now. But in 1879, it was made the capital of Portuguese Guinea. And it would remain the capital until 1941 when it moved to Bissau. Evidently, Bolama was popular for seaplane docking, which there was a tragic crash of a seaplane in 1931. There's a memorial there for the victims of that. But as you know, after that tragedy and after the capital was moved, this city declined rapidly to the point that it was pretty much a ghost town by the time Guinea-Bissau gained its independence in the 1970s. And even worse, in 1988, during the Civil War here, the town was pretty much destroyed. Many of the colonial buildings remain, but they are shells of their former selves. They are pretty run down. And the city isn't nearly as prosperous as it once was. So when we head over to Google Earth, we're not really going to look at the town of Bolama because there really aren't any pictures there. I'll try to click on like the town slideshow to kind of show you, but it's pretty empty and abandoned today, which is pretty sad. I'm pretty sure Bupake over here, the island and the town there is the most thriving one. But the other towns here are doing pretty good for themselves. So why don't we hop over to my tablet and we'll take a look at these really remarkable islands. Here we are in the Bulama region. But let's start by zooming out so you can see exactly where we are. Here's little Guinea-Bissau. Pretty easy to find on a map because of this very jagged coastline here. But we are in West Africa. Over here. Kind of in that area between the Sahel and the green equatorial part, right, of Africa. Just in the middle there. You can see Senegal up here. There's Guinea, which we just talked about this region 2 days ago, the Bokeh region. And now we're over here in the Bijagos archipelago. Here's Bulama Island, which there's the town, which, like I said, we'll just try to look at this slideshow here. Oops. So you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Definitely no longer in its glory days. It's pretty run down. I mean, people still live here, as you can see, enjoying the beach. It just is not what it once was. Let's see. Is there anything that I can show you here? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure there isn't. But you can see the big dock there. But yeah. That is Bolama. We have a beach over here. There's loads of beaches here. Look how pretty. And of course, they're all very, like, untouched. You can have your cookout there. Low tide. That's a very low tide. Thank goodness. Dressed all nicely. Some little birds out there. Nice little beach. But yeah, you can really see just how lush and green this place is, right? All of like the water creeping around, making this kind of mangrovey coast, as you can see over here. Kind of like a swamp forest in a way. Just another beach, but we're gonna look at another island. Let's see. I'm going to show you let's see this area. There's no pictures. That's too bad. The Islas Formosa. That would be nice to see. Let's see. Just remembering, like, I didn't have a plan of action to show you things. It's just, oh look, there's the cute island. I'm sure that's not what it means. I bet you there's no pictures here on cute island. Yeah, it won't even let me select it. Looks pretty empty. Well, not empty, but full of trees and life. What was that? Another beach. The Bruce Beach. Little huts there, that's nice. Wow, that's pretty. Little swings there. You can enjoy the view of the sea. The Atlantic Ocean. Beautiful hotel here. That's interesting. A little intimidating, but also really neat. It is a nice place. Whoa, that's a cool statue. A wood carving. Wow. Oh, this is Bupaki. You can see all the hotels popping up. Let's take a look. Look at that cow on the beach. Have you ever seen a cow on the beach before? These little homes. Simple living, but very beautiful living, right? Must be nice to live on the beach like that. I'm sure it has its downsides, but you're also on the beach, so look at all this forest. Oh, we're on Orongo. We're on Orongo. Which I have a place to show you over here. The hippopotamuses. These are saltwater hippopotamuses. This is a protected area because you don't want to get close to hippos. They are very deadly. But these hippos like to swim in the ocean, just like we like to do. Look at them. If you're wondering why there was a big old hippo in the intro, now you know. It's a safe place you can observe the hippos from. You do not want to get close to a hippopotamus. They'll attack you. Here are mangrove trees. I'm talking about the swampy forests. These are the roots of the trees here. They go in the water. They thrive in this murky salt water. And so do hippos. So cute. Look at them, their little ears. They are such adorable animals, but they're also very dangerous. Very territorial creatures. But they're just so cute. You see the person peeking out, trying to see some swimming hippos. Here's all the birds you can see. Some pelicans, little storky friends, and of course the hippos. Pretty amazing. I bet you didn't think there was a place where hippos like to surf in the ocean. Now you know. We see New Giza. Is this anything to see? Oh, beautiful sky. And parakeets. Let's see. We can look at this slideshow. João Vieira Marine National Park and Bolama. It's established in 2000. It includes uninhabited islands and some smaller islets. Let's take a look. Big old trees there. Beautiful beaches. I bet like the diving here is pretty great too. Mangrove coast. These islands here. It's part of the national park here. Preserving all that untouched land. We can't get too close to the mainland. We're not talking about that tonight. Let's see what else we can find. What is this? Oh, this looks like a hall of some kind. Or a community center, judging by the symbol, but we're going to click it anyway. Beautiful palm trees. There's the... Oh, wow, from above. Look at that. Look at all this green. And to think this is just islands, right? That's not even like the main chunk of inland green. That's just islands. Wow, how beautiful. That is pretty incredible. I'm glad I tapped on that. Look at all of this. Pretty remarkable. What is this? Nothing. That's unfortunate. I could have sworn I found all kinds of pictures here. Now I can't remember where they are, and the ones I am tapping on are coming up empty. I could have sworn I found all kinds of... I swear I did. Let's see. Looked at this island already, right? That's Bulama Island. I guess we'll just look at this beach. Look, oh, there's no photos for it. Well, I tried. Let's make sure, yeah. Up here, this chunk of land here is part of the region, but I don't remember seeing any slideshows up here when I was looking. It just looks all mangrovey, doesn't it? All swampy. I should have said that these islands are pretty much formed by this river delta here. I imagine that this was all like a lot more land once upon a time, but as the river flows and the ocean flows in, it creates islands, I suppose. Doesn't that make sense? It makes sense to me. Or else would you have all these islands out in the delta? Look how swampy it is. Imagine all the creatures that live here. All the life this must sustain. Not to mention the indigenous peoples. I think they were Mandinka. Or at least Mandinka descended. We already looked at that. I was just hoping that that one would have pictures somehow. Well then, let's see. What else should we look at? How about this far out island over here? I bet you there's nothing there. Oh my gosh, there's a port. And there's photos. There's 2 photos, but they're very nice photos of the beach. Maybe this town has photos. I doubt it, but yeah. Oh well. Look at that big old beach there and right there. Well, I could have sworn that there were I found all kinds of photos. Like, there weren't like a lot, but the ones I found were interesting. Oh well. Maybe if you explore these islands on your own, maybe you'll find something. And you can let me know in the comments what you found. I do appreciate it when you guys are like, you should look at this on Google Earth. I always do. You should do it too. If you're ever bored one day, check out these neat islands. You think Shandia sent any photos? I doubt it, but we'll look anyway. No. Alright then. I suppose we'll end it here, I guess. Do you think the puppet theater has any photos? No, Rice Cook does not. I don't know, maybe some of these towns we can try. No. How about this side of Bulama? Do you hear the loud motorcycles outside? Let's look at the airport. It has no photos either. Letting me down. Oh well, I guess we'll just end it, I suppose. It doesn't want to give me any photos. I'd like to see more, but apparently not. So, thank you so much for watching. Maybe this hotel has photos. Oh, it does. Wow, pretty, pretty, pretty. Alright, here we go. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. We're going to be heading back to Laos in the next video, and I'm going to show you, wow, look at that fish, some really beautiful, some more beautiful natural wonders around Laos, including a really pretty national park. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Look at that fish. If you're still awake, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a good